Well, let's go to the telephone lines where we're joined by somebody who knows all about Springbok rugby and coaching at the highest level. Brendan Venter is a former Springbok centre and he is currently the technical director at London Irish. So he's moved with the Exiles, but now he joins us from the Cape where he's at his practice. Brendan, absolute pleasure to have you on TMO. Welcome back.
How's it, Colin? Good, thanks.
Well,
Thanks.
Brendan, we're obviously talking about this past weekend's match in Brisbane and, yeah, a lot of depression immediately following that. How dire to you, in your mind, is the situation overall? Not just the result from last weekend, but the entire setup of Springbok rugby.
You see, what fascinates me is that we could have looked at this, the whole campaign and how could we have expected another result? You know, I'm fascinated that everybody is distraught because if you give Alistair no time to prepare, you give him a very inexperienced coaching staff. Yeah. We basically overhaul our whole team, and there's an expectation that we need to play an expansive brand of rugby, and then we don't perform the way we like to perform, and then we say, well, this is a disaster. So for me, from my day-to-day job is I need to find a solution. We all can see the sick patient, the team, you know. So to keep it simple is, what is the solution? Are there other players? No, because half of the team is injured and half of the people are overseas who were supposed to be playing. Jean, Victor, Fourie, those guys' time is finished, so they've retired. So there was a natural change in staff. So we were like other players? No. Are there any other coaches to help Alistair? Personally, I don't think so. Where are these coaches available? We all think there's this magic wand that's going to come flying in and somebody's going to come with this brilliant idea. You know, is there a different game plan that we should play? You know, is this guy going to come in, whoever's going to help Alistair, and say, well, now all of a sudden we're going to improve the skill level. The skill levels of stuff that's done in pre-seasons, and it's done at the franchises. So I must admit, everybody's looking at the thing and hoping for the silver bullet, the solution. It's not there.
Well,
it's going to take time.
Yeah, just coming in there because you make some very valid points, but I don't agree with some of them. First of all, I think that Australia had an absolutely shambolic Super Rugby campaign, and the Lions were our best team playing really good rugby. So it has been proven that we have coaches who can compete against New Zealand sides. I think that both Jan Ackerman and Swys de Bruin and JP, is it Ferreira?
Jesse Ferreira.
Who's involved there, have been very, very successful, admittedly with a side that they've had for 3 years. But wouldn't it have made sense to help Alistair with that type of coaching support?
Nick, see, the debate will always be, will a new coach have come in? But let's look at the Lions then as a case study. So Alistair took all of those players and put them in the team. So the mainstay of this team is currently the Lions squad. We are trying to play a similar brand to what they're playing. And Jan Ackerman will be the first one to admit the big success in the Lions setup is their culture and the environment. Aki just created a brilliant environment. Fine, Swys has worked on it. But remember, that Lions team, the product of the work Mitch has put in. Yeah. You look at the way Elton plays. Carlos Spencer's signature is all over the way Elton plays.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of time invested in this Lions team. I'm 100% convinced we can't just take the Lions team just as it is and actually take their coaching staff, put them in the Springbok coaching staff, and actually think. Remember, Nick, we've tried it 10 times. Yeah. Harry Viljoen, Karel, we've always chopped and changed.
With respect, they didn't know how to coach it. I think that Jan Ackerman and Swys de Bruin do know how to coach it. So I think this present Springbok side, you say we're trying to play like the Lions. I disagree with you. We kicked a huge number of up and unders on Folau this weekend. We're stuck between trying to play off 9, half off 10. Our attack isn't coordinated. There's no coordination between forward runners and backline players. So I'm not absolutely certain that the present coaching staff can coach like the Lions are being coached.
Okay, Nick, I'll ask you a question. So you've had the team. How much coaching happens in a match day week?
No, I'll agree with that. I think that
almost nothing.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But then,
I'm challenged. When would he have introduced all of this? Because if you consider, remember, Aki had no time to coach the A team.
Yeah.
The A team lost a series against the Saxons, which was England's second team, a really average team coming out here. So when you've got a lot of time, so when you're putting an attack in place, a defense is quickly, a good exit strategy is quickly, but attack takes time.
No, I agree with that.
You know, and that's what we don't have here. Alistair, my point is, just didn't have the team. Let's say we overhaul the system. Let's say we take everybody out, we put Akis in, and we put Johan in, and we put Swayze in, and we say go. Do you think currently our personnel are strong enough? We're good enough? We've got enough players not playing overseas to actually go and say, big transformation, we beat the All Blacks, we beat England when we go overseas, everything is sorted.
No, Brendan, I don't think that we're good enough to beat New Zealand or England away at the moment. But I do think we're good enough to beat an Ireland side at home, convincingly. And I think we're also good enough to beat Argentina home and away. And I think we should have been good enough to beat Australia away. I don't think those teams are very good at the moment. So I don't think the start has been very difficult in terms of the quality of our opposition at the moment. And the performances of the Springboks have been close. Every game's been close, but none of them have been really convincing.
Nick, you remember, what is the difference between a winning team and a team that loses those close games? It's just confidence in their ability as a group. So this group is lacking confidence. They've just scraped a couple of wins. Even the win in Nelspruit, they actually should have lost that. They were 10 points down with 10 minutes to play. Brilliant comeback. And that's the thing at the moment. Everybody's so unsure of themselves, because if you look at the Springbok performance and you look at it now critically, I'm quite positive because I know how hard these players are trying, and the coaching staff would give anything to get a good result. So I look at it positively. But if you look at it critically, our team is doing nothing exceptionally. We do everything average. We've got an okay kick chase, we've got an okay scrum, we've got an okay line-out, we drive okay, we've got reasonable line speed, we've got some shape on attack, and that's the problem. And as long as we are okay, we'll never become the best in the world again. But what makes you exceptional is when your confidence grows, when you get a couple of wins under the belt, when the ball bounces your way. And it's just, remember when you went on that run of winning all those test matches? You played, I think it was Italy or Wales or something, and you smashed them. And all of a sudden the team started growing and started believing, and you just go on a roll. And that's why I say we need time. I'm not saying that the coaching staff is helping, because you must understand, poor Alistair comes into a meeting at the end of this and he says, okay, boys, what do you think? And Stick says, well, I've never been there. You know? And Johan says, I've only heard what Heineke says. That's my reference. And Sean says, shucks, I was in the Varsity Cup and it was different there, So,
Brendan, Shimia, do you think maybe it's a lack of succession planning, where we've had Ryan Fourie playing, Bismarck, Strauss, Yanni only stopped last year, Victor's been playing, I think since 2004. At Albert, you can go, JP's been around that. We've probably lost a generation of players where we haven't introduced fresh legs or new players, where a guy like Yankees and Barrett started at the same time. Barrett's got 40 caps, Yankees, I think, has got 6. And maybe that's a systematic issue rather than an issue now that Alistair sort of adopted that.
That, for me, this is where you're talking now is solution. How would we go for the next group? We need continuity. We know the one common factor in all successful organizations is continuity. People that stick together, good people for a long time, become successful. That's just the way it is. And this is our sickness in South Africa. We love chop and changing. We want results, we want it quickly, and that's just the way it is. So if Heineke had sat, if you look at every successful Springbok coach had a little bit of a run where we allowed them to get on with their job. Now the counter argument would be, what if we get it wrong? What if we have the wrong people to start off with? It is a potential problem. But from a point of view of where South African rugby did any planning, just the fact that Alistair was appointed so late, for me, was a disaster. And that
well, if they'd been,
I don't know if we can fix it.
Brendan, if they'd been planning, then Alistair might have taken over from Jake White after the 2007 World Cup, where he was his assistant. And that might have been a far better time to take it instead of giving it to old Moustache. What is that?
Brendan, you've been part of many sort of team turnarounds. What would be the first thing you would fix? I mean, you know, a guy like you, unfortunately involved with London Irish now. Shouldn't you be back home and maybe looking at people like you that are involved in team turnarounds to help South African rugby?
Actually, the good news, and I can almost give you, is that I have not got that magic potion to come in tomorrow and say, oh, guys, look, this is what's wrong. These are the solutions. Let's fix it. It doesn't work like that. So you ask me, Alice is actually a good friend of mine, and we actually chat often as friends talk. So I know what he's going on in his head, and I know what he's trying to do, and he is on the right path. I promise you he's not on the wrong path, okay? And the way he does things and the way he treats people is going to work. So first of all, this environment will be a good environment. He won't turn on his players. He'll stay on it. But on the second side, I would definitely... Jake White is a good example, and Brendan Venter. How do they get results relatively quickly? They actually are humble enough to understand that we need to play a bit more conservative rugby in the beginning. We must first crawl before we can run. And if you ask me, we are in between styles at the moment. We must almost humbly say we will grow to be a great attacking side, but let's first sort the defence out. Our defence is unbelievably average. Our kick chase is average. Nicky, you're right. We can't kick the ball from left to right on Israel Folau. So we kicked it away from the pack. Israel Folau has won the aerial contest in the last 20 tests he's played. I don't think I've ever seen him drop the ball. It's amazing. And then he catches that. We have no cover because we've actually gambled on that. So that is something which is relatively easy to fix. I'd work on our kick chase, and I just play a little bit more conservative. That's not what the people want to hear, but we're just not good enough yet to play an expansive style of rugby. Simple as that.
Well, certainly, Brendan, this weekend coming up is a case in point. I don't personally think we've been playing a lot of attacking rugby. We've still got very much a territorial kicking game when we're in our half. It's just our kicks haven't been executed well, and we're giving the receiver too much time. And if we do that against New Zealand, they're going to cut us to pieces. You know, so I think that the two teams that were taken apart by New Zealand, Australia and Argentina in the last 20 minutes, were tried to out New Zealand at their own game. And the one thing that this Springbok side can do this weekend, I don't think many people are anticipating a win, but I think we could be far more competitive if we manage to cut down our mistakes and don't give possession away. And also, when you talk about defence, because Brendan, I know that you were one of the very first guys who came up with a press defence, and it was very effective. Our defence coach, Sean Roux, is new in this job, and he's learned probably from Jacques Nienaber, I would suggest, maybe a bit of Rassie Erasmus. Don't you think that defence is such an important part of the game, particularly with the Springboks and our physicality, that we needed perhaps someone who'd had experience in this role before?
Nick, look, with those things, I know Sean as well, and he's a friend, and Sean is a knowledgeable rugby guy. But if ever you've been thrown in at the deep end, it's this.
Exactly.
You know, this is a proper hard job. John McFarlane is very good at what he does. He's done it for 10 years. Jacques Nienaber has done it for 10 years. And this must be the hardest job in the world. And Sean has no experience in it. So, I don't like it, but I have to agree with you again, Nick. You're right on this one. We need an experienced defence coach. Now, if you think about it, the two areas we need, most of all, what you're saying, is a good attacking, kicking coach, so extra strategy coach, and a good defence coach. And we've got the two most inexperienced people. We don't have a kicking coach at the moment, and we don't have an experienced defence coach. So that is the crisis. And you are spot on. If we take New Zealand on, they've got a concept which they call click attack, which they wait for opportunities. They're brilliant with it. And a poor kick chase is a click for them. A high up and under, which they feel, is a click for them. A turnover is a click for them. Absolutely. They will demolish us if we play like that against them.
Yeah.
Brendan, I want to jump in here quickly because you speak about the certain coaches that we need at different parts of our play. Should we be looking for these coaches outside of our borders, or do we have capable staff within?
I think if you completely objective and honest and you look at all our Super 15 or 18 coaches, the reality is we don't have experienced coaches out there at the moment. That's just reality. All of them have coached a little bit and have very little experience. So maybe the time is there, and I don't know exactly how, but maybe we need some forum where we all sit together around the table and we actually say, what are our strengths in this country? What are our weaknesses? Akis and Sway, talk to us about your attack. You know, I know it's possible. You can't keep it all for yourself. Gary, tell us what you think. Franco, you've had a brilliant Curry Cup so far. What have you been working on? Yeah. What is the growth? That's probably what we're going to do, because there is no coach. If you think about it now, who is the coach who's going to save us in South Africa? And there is no real savior out there either. You know, we're thinking what's going to happen. Eddie Jones is going to come in on his horse and he's going to save us. It's not going to happen. You know, Eddie Jones, if you look at the English setup, there are so many positives. He took over a team that was ready to explode, that was sitting second the whole time. Billy and Macca and them and Owen and Ford have been all together for 3 years. They were growing. That was the perfect time to take over. A guy who's going to take us is going to say, keepers, boys, this is a new team, new everything. You know, at the bottom of the cycle, I wouldn't even, if the head guy wouldn't touch it. You ask a guy like Wayne Smith, you look at this thing and say, never. This is too hard a job at the moment, you know.
Brendan, we're only going to speak for a few minutes, but this is such a compelling conversation and one that we absolutely have to have. So I'm going to ask you to please bear with us. We're going to take a quick break.
I can't. My whole surgery is full of people. And
they're waiting for you.
Is looking at me. They're all looking at me.
You've done well, Brendan.
Well, you've done well. You've launched us into some conversations that we'll keep running in the studio. So pity we can't keep you. And maybe the next time around we'll get you in the studio as well.
But Nick, I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, great chatting to you, Brendan. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, Brendan. Absolute pleasure. And off he goes to deal with the diseased and dying Brendan Venter. And we've also got diseased and dying on the rugby field as well.
In the studio.
In the studio as well. We're going to keep the conversation going, however. But thanks again to Brendan Venter for that. We are talking about the Springboks' performance against the Australians this past weekend at Suncorp Stadium.